In this session, you will learn all about how to use AI for the full content cycle. And I'm joined by someone who was a speaker on my first AI Creator Summit, Celeste Yamile. And she's based in Mexico, and she has some really actionable content on LinkedIn. That's where I found her actually the first time when I was researching speakers. And yeah, I've seen her growing since then, and I wanted to bring her back for this AI Creator workshop. And she has prepared some very actionable and practical content for you guys. So warm welcome to the session, Celeste.
Hey, thank you so much for having me here. And yeah, really excited to share some insights and help people because I feel that sometimes we overcomplicate stuff when it can be just as easy as using like one or two tools and then, use that for the rest of the month. So yeah, super excited about this
Yeah,
one.
I mean, since we spoke last time, you have been growing and you have been consistent on LinkedIn. So maybe you can share a little bit before we get into kind of what you are going to share with kind of how to use AI for the full content cycle as a creator and founder. What has been happening in your world in terms of AI and what's working right now for you?
Of course, it's important to say that every week, every month, there's new tools and new models out there. And a new post that's going to tell you, new tool, it's going to kill ChatGPT or something. So I think from that aspect, there's lots of things that you can do on AI, but at least from my perspective, I've been always with the same workflow, like having one custom GPT or one project, and I've been always using that one. And if a new tool comes, I maybe play with that, but I feel that once you have your system, you can pretty easily like rock and roll with that one for a really long
Yeah.
time.
You usually post like once a day, right, on LinkedIn?
Yeah, for now I do, but
Okay.
sometimes 3, 5 days a
Okay.
week.
All right. So you're
Yeah.
pretty flexible. But so what if people stick around until the end of this session, what are they gonna walk away with? What practical things can they expect to learn?
Sure. So they can walk away with 3 actionable steps on how to use AI for ideating content, creating content, and then analyzing your content, because that's the most important thing. How to feed your next cycle of content creation to do better, because it doesn't matter how consistent you are if you're just consistent with the wrong things, right? So you have
Yeah.
to have cycles of feedback, so now you can do better and you can keep growing. So that's like the full cycle of how I said, just 3 simple things that you can do to start acting and implementing AI in a super easy way.
Awesome. Why don't we dive right in? You have some screen share and stuff. You want to showcase how to do this, right?
Sure. I mean, I can start with ideating content, but I just want to show you more of the workflow, right? Because it's super simple. And for content creation, I guess more people are going to look at this at YouTube, right? But for as I'm on LinkedIn, I have a different workflow, but I realize that my clients that have YouTube channels, what we like to do in that scenario, first to ideate more ideas for content. It's organized, you go to a YouTube channel of one of your favorite creators or a competitor, you name it, and then you organize by most popular at the top. And then you can take a screenshot of that and ask, ChatGPT, hey, how can I adapt this to my own niche? Or how can I adapt this to the desires of my clients? Or, like, how can I adapt this to X thing? Now, that's what I do often with clients on YouTube. But when we are on LinkedIn, and what I also like to do is to use Perplexity. So this is the one that I want to show you more of because I think it's super simple.
Yeah,
Let me
absolutely.
share more of my screen.
Yes. Oh no. Yes.
So you can see that, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Now you can see the screen here. Perfect.
Okay, so what I would do is to say, give me some pain points about, let's see, give me some pain points that people have about building a personal brand on LinkedIn, which is my main platform. And by the way, I'm now using a tool that's called Whisper Flow.
This is my favorite too. I love Whisperflow. I use it all the time
Yeah.
for AI tools. It's amazing.
Yeah, to
Yeah.
just talk, and from there, I mean, it just writes everything you say. It's a voice to text model. I think everyone who's in AI started using that, so it's pretty common. But yeah, I mean, can be super simple, just like this. Oh, by the way, just something that I like to do too is to ask this question and say, hey, give me some pain points that people have about whatever your niche is. But then you can also change it. Let's see. You can ask for sources. Let's see. Connectors and sources. Once you have your question here, you can click for social, instead of the web, or you can, decide what you want to do. But I like to keep it to social because it tries to search conversations that are happening in real time with people. So in that way, it's not like you would ask ChatGPT and then it would get biased on what it thinks the pain points, of your ideal audience are, but it's actually going to search in Reddit, right? Conversations, and it's going to try to bring you the most loyal information that it can. And actually, my best posts have come to ideas from these ones because I often feel, hey, my audience might be wondering about X thing that I'm just making up, but they're actually caring about other things. And on LinkedIn, I specialized on creating content that brings leads. So, on that aspect, when you solve someone's questions, those are the posts that give me the most inbound, even if they don't have lots of views. So, I think that's my favorite thing to do for the first part of the process, which is just getting content ideas.
Yeah, I mean, I use Perplexity a lot as well. It's amazing. You can get all the sources like this. Is part of my workflow when I do like reviews and stuff for my blog. I mean, I always go to Perplexity. It's more accurate than ChatGPT and things like that, or even Claude sometimes doesn't search the web the best. So I tend to go to
Yeah,
Perplexity usually. Or Grok sometimes actually I go to. Grok is pretty good for research actually. It's like it's getting better.
definitely. And also another thing that I love, I'm just searching in my profile because that's pretty cool. Um, see if I can show you something here. I have one post that I did. It was actually a lead magnet. Let me see if I can find it. But you see that there in the screen, it says the first one, profile challenges, right? So most people feel challenges with their profile. And what I do often is that I turn those ideas into lead magnets too.
Yeah, I've seen on your LinkedIn. Maybe you can show that later, kind of what you do on LinkedIn as well, because you have I don't know how many times a week, but you tend to have some lead magnets where people comment and then they can get the resource, right? You usually message people with the resource afterwards.
Yeah, exactly. So for example, this one, it's for the challenge that it was telling me about the profile. And again, there I have other lead magnets on my profile that were like more of what I think, oh, people might like this one. But I was just
Wow, you
making
got
it,
a lot of comments there, huh? That's a lot of
yeah,
comments.
1,000 comments on this one. But that just shows that what it
Yeah.
searches right here, it's exactly what people want. So I have another lead magnet about engagement, and same, it has lots of
Yeah, I want to dive into some of how you create this a little bit deeper, but yeah, sure, continue for now. I mean, this is good. I think it's good
yeah,
because people are missing this. The Perplexity is like so good for this kind of stuff. So absolutely.
definitely. And you can also, well, that would be the first one, right? Just getting content ideas can be as simple as that. Whether you go to, someone else's profile on YouTube or X, Instagram, whatever social media you use, and they taking the ideas they have that you see there that are working and then saying, okay, so how can I adapt this format to my own workflow? Because there are patterns. I mean, when you analyze the content of some of the best creators in the world or in the platform that you are, they are often going to repeat the same formats over and over again. And that's just useful for you to know how to, have a system that you can repeat. And I think I also have this ones. I think it's a pretty fun exercise to go to uh, your favorite creator's profile and analyzing that. I'm just going to show you what I do. For
Sure.
example, I recently created a post about this because I thought it was pretty interesting about the 10 most viral formats for LinkedIn, but there are super mega viral formats for every social media that you use, right? And for example, I don't know, this creator, right? Chris Donnelly, it's one of the most, like, the biggest guys on LinkedIn. But if you
Yeah.
go to his profile, he would often be using the old path versus a new path, the old path on school versus a new path on school, the old path on SEO versus a new path on SEO. So I know now that that's a pattern that I can use for my own content. And actually, then I created a post about old LinkedIn versus new LinkedIn, and it performed really well. For example, this one. See? Old LinkedIn versus new LinkedIn. And it was one of my top performing posts, and it also generated lots of leads. So
No, I
that could,
see. I mean, obviously, it leads for Christian specifically. It leads to his. I think he has a AI tool for. I think it's called Searchable, right? So
yeah,
it like
definitely.
makes sense for him to talk a lot about the old way because that's the traditional SEO and the new way, which is kind of with AI and stuff like that, and that's what his software helps with, basically. So
But
yeah,
you would often see that format, for example, in YouTube too. I've seen videos that say, "Oh, like the old way of editing on YouTube
yeah.
versus a new way to edit on YouTube," right? And things like that. So I consider that for everything, there are formats that you can either take a screenshot and brainstorm with ChatGPT how you can do that format for yourself, or get ideas of proven um, questions that people have in your industry, and then you solve that. And it doesn't only give you views, but that also gives you leads. I mean, again, those are the posts that have give me the most inbound. But then,
And where do you
once you,
create your lead magnet? What do you use? Canva? What tool did you use?
well, I use Figma, but you can use Canva,
Figma,
yeah.
yeah, that's right. I like it. Why did you choose Figma? I like Figma a lot, but sometimes I just stick with Canva.
Sure. I mean, for sure, Canva it's has a smaller learning curve. But the reason that I choose Figma it's because I think it's pretty cool to have a content system in one place. I mean, you see, this is my carousel, right? But
Is
if
the
I s-
boards, right? I mean, that's what I like with Figma as well. You can like put it. I mean, that's what I was thinking. You use Figma. I just didn't see on the screen. It's smaller, but yeah, it's
yeah,
definitely pretty impressive. I think Canva, you can't really do all. I mean, they have like a board thing or like whatever, but it's not like this for the visual stuff. So yeah,
uh,
this.
but I like it because when I create carousels, or my designer helps me sometimes with this. You see that I have all my carousels of all times here. So sometimes I just want to repurpose some parts of a carousel where I knew that I had an image that I wanted to share again on another carousel, right? And then when I have the system, it's pretty easy for me to like copy paste things and repeat
This is
them.
pretty cool, actually. You see, like the full. I mean, I might try this out. So, uh, does it have like a lot of? I mean, when I use it, they have added a lot of AI features. They also acquired, I think, Wee or whatever. That's also they have also boards, but
Yeah.
like for all the visual models and stuff like that, they just acquired. It must have been pretty big, investment in that company, to just bring them on board. So
Yeah, I think
yeah, they
so.
seem to like this kind of style. So they bought basically the content for AI video, and they have all the models, and you can do the same there. But does Figma inside have also AI here, so you can use generative AI with maybe background remover and stuff like that?
Definitely. And like it's pretty cool because now, well, on Figma I have different sections, and I here have my lead magnets. Here I have my quotes. Here I have images, and my infographics are over here, right? So now I can just like move in between. And sometimes what I often do too is to convert a carousel into an infographic. By the way, I also do this infographics with AI, and I just like adapt them to side.
That might be cool also to show a little bit later. But this is I've seen these and they look pretty good actually. Some do you use Nano Banana for this?
I use a combination. That's a really good question. On LinkedIn, you're gonna see these types of infographics, and I haven't seen them on Instagram a lot. I think this is more of a format for LinkedIn for now.
Yeah, I've seen it too.
But I use a combination of Nano Banana plus ChatGPT because I don't know why, but ChatGPT has more realistic texture. So once I have my infographic with Nano Banana, I upload it into chat and I say, hey, like, help me turn this into a more, realistic texture. And you see this is Nano Banana. This is the one with Nano Banana.
You want to show like later like some prompts for this? This could be interesting. I think people would like to learn this. This is actually a pretty good use case for Nano Banana and something real. People can implement it right away after the session or during the
Yes,
session,
of
even if they
course.
pause it. Yeah, yeah. So, but I want to don't rush, jump ahead. So, what do you have for us more? So we can get into this if this is relevant right now, or if you want to
Sure.
do this later during the session.
Sure. Well, like there's three parts I consider important for the content creation cycle. So we just talk about ideas, right? And then the other thing would be to like how to create content, right, with AI. So for this one, my favorite like go-to that I also use for my clients is to use whether it's Claude. And like the first decision you have to take is what do I want to choose? Is it going to be Claude or is it going to be ChatGPT? Right? So I consider those like the top choices that you will make for content creation and for the copy. In my scenario, I like ChatGPT. Like that's the one I pay for because it also helps me with my images, as you could see. But Claude is also pretty good with copy. Sometimes it's better
Yeah.
than ChatGPT.
I think if
So
you train it, I think ChatGPT out of the box is definitely worse than Claude. But Claude is also not a great writer if you just give it something. It's better than ChatGPT, but it's not going to sound like you. So you always have to train the AI to write like you in your way. I mean, I'm sure you have. Do you have your GPT or something inside of ChatGPT that makes it write better, like your LinkedIn posts and stuff like that? Is that kind of how you do it a lot faster?
yeah, exactly. Well, I do have certain GPTs. I have some of these GPTs that help me to create the content and well, edit all of it, work with templates. But you have to start with that one, the choice, right? Am I going to use ChatGPT or Claude? Because then you're going to build all your system inside of there. And then the second
Yeah,
question that I would ask myself is, do I want to create projects or custom GPTs? Because I use custom GPTs more often because I create them and then a custom GPT, you can share it. So all my clients have access to my GPTs. So they don't have to be prompting or, be creating something on their side or even paying for any tool. So when you have clients, I think custom GPTs are pretty useful so they can repeat systems. And projects are more internal to you. You also have these folders and like all your chats are saved inside of this folder, and it also uses all the memories. So that's what you're going to decide. But after that, the way that you build your system, it's with a 3-step framework that I really love, which is the C framework, and it stands for structure, example, and analysis. So as long as you have those three on your custom GPT, it's going to be super useful and it's not going to break. So let me see if I can show you this thing here. Okay, so I'm going to give you a template. And for everyone who's watching right now, they can take a screenshot, right? Or just see how it
yeah.
would be done.
I'll link that up also if we have some resources in the community and membership after for AI Creator OS. But yeah, you can take a screenshot right now if you're watching for sure.
Of course, of course. So this is the thing, the template. I'm making it bigger. Yes, we can see it bigger, right?
Yep.
Awesome. So you have to think of the framework again: structure, example, and analysis. The reason that I like to have structure in a prompt, it's because later you can come back and pretty easy edit what you did. Because if you have a super chunky, paragraph and essay of what you want your GPT to do, when you notice that something's not working and you want to edit again, it's just going to be really like it's going to be a lot of noise for you. You're not going to do it, and you're going to end up with a system that works like half of what you would like to, right? And it's not going to perform. Versus if you have something that's pretty easy to edit, and 1 week later you see, oh, I'm not liking this anymore, or I just found a behavior that I don't want it to repeat, then you can come back, edit the post pretty fast, and in that way, you build a system that you actually use and you're 100% happy with. So this is a structure that I like to use. We start, of course, with the typical, hey, you're an expert, whatever role, you're an expert copywriter, you're going to help me to write emails, and you always follow these rules without exceptions, right? And then you put the rules that you would like here. For example, for LinkedIn, I would say something like, never write, like prioritize writing in lines of 60 characters per line of text. Because I know that, that's a format that we use on LinkedIn. If you use more than 60 characters per line of text, you're going to have, orphan words and like pretty messy formatting. So depending on the rules you want, this is where I put them, right? Or maybe, the vocabulary or the tone of voice that you wanted to use. Then after the rules, what I like to put into my system, whether that's a custom GPT or it's a project, I like to say, hey, you always lead through these steps without exceptions, right? So you start breaking down the steps. So for example, with a post I would do for LinkedIn, hey, first write the hook. Then we are going to write the body of the post. Or you're going to ask me what framework I would like to use for my post. And then step 3, you're actually going to write the post. So you have to divide your workflow into steps, because that will make it easier for you to give or have cycles of feedback into ChatGPT. So I would say step 1, hey, gather context, ask me enough information, ask me, what's going to be the call to action that I would like to use on my post, what's my idea. If you don't understand something, always ask me before generating assumptions. So I really love that for the first step, because it's going to reduce ChatGPT getting biased. And it's going to try more to, hey, I don't have this information about you. It's going to start asking you more questions instead of just starting right away. And now, number 2, that's when I will start breaking the workflow. So the first one I always like to include is context. Ask me for enough information that you need. And then on step 2, we're actually going to start the workflow. And something that I like to put in each step is to say, hey, ask me if I'm satisfied with your answer. Don't start the next step until I give you my approval. And I always, if you have different steps, I always like to use this. So it pauses, it asks for your feedback. And if we have to change something, like we pause and continue later. And something that I found pretty useful too is to put, below the reference document. So if you create a custom project, I don't know if everyone who's listening to this would be familiar with custom projects, but let me show you here. If I go to my ChatGPT, right, the way that we create projects would be to go to this part below and say, hey, create a new project. Let's call it test right now. And you can also upload your files here. So here you put the instructions and here you put the files. And what the project is going to do, it's, for example, I have a database of 200 hooks that I use. Or for my lead magnets, I have previous examples of posts that have been going viral. So your project is going to use these files as reference data to help you to start. And this is like the most powerful thing about projects, right? Like the files and the knowledge. So when I am in one step, let's say, go back again. I have a reference document and I want the GPT to take a look at my frameworks. So I say, okay, so the frameworks, you can find them on this document. Right? And now it's going to pause and actually review that on the back end. So
Yeah, you can do the same in the GPTs. You have obviously the file section. I think you can upload around 20 documents or something like that.
yeah, exactly. You can do that. And something pretty important, we talk about the C framework. So this is a structure. And that's one I like to use for creating my projects, GPTs. And then the other two are examples and analysis. So you see here that I'm mentioning reference documents because examples should be inside of these documents, or examples should be on your prompts. And that's because you're also analyzing how good content looks like. A mistake that I see often is, people saying, hey, create me an email. Okay, but how does a good email look like? You don't even know that yourself. Why do you think ChatGPT is going to know that? Of course it can have an idea, but that's an idea it has in an ocean of data. And there can be many frameworks, there can be many ideas that are also wrong. So your job is to make that research and then have documents, have frameworks that you are the ones that you want to use. For example, I think I have this, a template for my email. Oh, for example, this one, the 5 frameworks for email copywriting. So that's a training document that I have in one of my GPTs. And you see, okay, so these are my favorite 5 frameworks. For every email that you choose, you should only choose one of these, right? And then I have the framework. What are they best for? So what scenario we have and what's this framework going to be best when we have a story? When we have steps, this is going to be the best one, right? So this is like one of the parts that everyone's missing. And then they wonder why their project or the GPT is not creating good outputs, right? So I was like, that's a framework that I always use. Structure, examples, and analysis. As long as you have those traits, it's going to be pretty easy for you to end up with a system that you really love and that you use. And for example, in my case, I have an editor for my LinkedIn content. I have an editor for my email, right? You can have an editor to create your own scripts for YouTube.
Yeah, no, this is powerful because I think, I've said this before, but the ultimate competitive advantage in the age of AI is taste because there's so much AI slop. There's also human slop, so it's like both ways. But I think like if you have taste, you have to know what is good. I mean, in your case, Celeste, you have published a lot on LinkedIn, so you have training data. You can see what works. You can see what your audience they resonate with. So you can obviously take these posts and bring it into the training data. And when you feed it to the AI, in this case, ChatGPT, in your projects and the GPTs. But if you don't have that, maybe you're starting from scratch and watching this. I think you can check some of your favorite creators, use that as training wheels, not like copy them or something, but you can see okay, what resonates with people in your niche. And then you can kind of take that in the beginning, some viral hooks or some content. And then when you have content that have resonated with your audience as you're growing, then you can obviously use your own content. I think that's a pretty decent way. I mean, people do that all the time on YouTube. I mean, they look at thumbnails, for example. They copy thumbnails and test different things. They copy concepts, even titles on YouTube. You see many of the same ones blowing up all the time. And I think it's the same on LinkedIn and X and different platforms. Sometimes we just take a spin on it and then put your kind of story and ideas into it.
Exactly. And like it's important also to differentiate that we have a templatized approach, which is okay, so this is working. I can repeat this as a template, but there's also the framework approach. So a framework, it's how you would do something, you know, step by step, but based on your idea. And you're not using any template, but you're using a system, right? So for example, the structure of a video on YouTube, it might be the beginning, like the hook, then a couple of points, and let's say we have 3 points, and each point should connect to the next one with more intrigue and curiosity, and then the end might redirect people to another video, right? So we can call that a framework. But you're not going to use any template, and you can use that framework with any idea you have. So those are 2 different scenarios, and I think it's important to differentiate because often I was getting the question on, okay, Celeste, but we only have like 5 frameworks for email. It's not going to repeat the same structure over and over again. It's like that structure is the one it works. Like the idea is the only one that changes, right? So yeah, it's templates and frameworks. You can use many of them too.
Yeah, I mean, I think if you have an email newsletter, I mean, usually we'll probably have a similar, I mean, basically, like it's like a template every week. You have similar ones, but yes, if you look at some popular ones like Justin Welch is the big one. I mean, he has different topics every week, different ideas, but it follows a similar format
Mhm.
basically in newsletters. Same with Sahil Bloom and other big creators, they have a similar format for their newsletters. And even if you look at LinkedIn posts and everything, I mean, it's pretty similar. Look at Matt Gray. I mean, he's pretty similar posts all the time, and he basically repurposes the content. I mean, I've followed him for quite a while, and he has the same content recycling. I guess if you're like getting his notifications all the time, you will see the same posts, but he's attracting like a new audience from them too. So yeah, even if you've seen them, I mean, you're in his audience then, so it's all
Yeah,
good.
exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. And I was also a mentee. I studied with Matt Gray.
Okay,
uh,
I didn't know that.
so
Okay,
I
cool.
know I know his process, and he also does the same thing. So if you want to know Matt Gray level of insight, he does the same. We have this call where he break down all his process. And for Matt Gray, he liked cloth more. He liked cloth because he
Yeah.
has his like design team, and they do the visuals. I like more ChatGPT because of my GPTs for my clients and my visuals too. But I also like Claude too. And he again used a project, and he had these files on his computer. Okay, here's my data of my business, and important things like our values, our offers, everything that you need to know, like the audience we want to attract. And this is information about YouTube, how we do our videos, what we've seen it work best for us, uh, our information about Instagram. And then from there, like kind of combining all those documents. And then he was asking questions inside of the projects. And again, creating the same thing as I show you. His prompts and everything. And that's what I'm saying, like as long as you use that structure for, a project or a GPT, now you're going to have a lot of flexibility on having something to help you edit. So yeah, I just consider that's super useful. And if you decide to, I might keep that. I'm going to say like in 3 months time, you might come back and realize, oh my God, she was right. Like this is the way to create a system that works for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, that would be
No,
like a
but this
second.
is this is great. So we covered the ideation, and then we went into kind of the content and stuff like that. But I think there's different types of content, especially in your case for LinkedIn. I mean, you had the lead magnet post you mentioned a little bit where
Mhm.
you drive leads. You do the carousels. You have like kind of these cheat sheets, which you mentioned you use Nano Banana for and ChatGPT. I don't know if you want to show kind of your process for creating some of these assets for LinkedIn and social media.
Course. So let me see if I have here, because this is a specific prompt I used.
I'm guessing you recycle a similar one that works to get this kind of style, and then you change the content, right? Or do you use a reference even? Do you need to use a reference image to get it to look like that?
No, I mean it's just from scratch.
Okay.
But give me a second here because I have to search my prompt.
Okay. No, it's good.
Okay,
It's like on the
so
fly. I put you on the spot a little, but it's good. I think the audience will appreciate it. It's something I'm sure they are excited that they can create something like that.
yeah,
It looks
definitely. Like Nano Banana, it's like crazy good at doing these things. So I just found my prompt. Give me a
yes.
sec. Because I had it in my community and I just published it there. So I'm copying it from there, and I'll show you.
Yeah,
Uh,
exclusive just for this workshop here.
yeah,
It's
exactly.
good.
But I cannot take credit on this prompt because there is a guy on LinkedIn. I mean, if you are on LinkedIn, you might recognize him. His name is Charlie Hills, and he created like the
Oh
base.
yeah, he said he's coming on for one of the sessions too. Let's see if I get him. Yeah, I
Really?
know him. Yeah, he might come. He
Yeah.
said yes,
So
but let's see. There's gonna schedule to, but yeah, I have connected to him and I've seen some of his stuff. It's really good.
yeah, so he might show you this prompt too because he built the baseline of this, and this is just how I used it for myself because I always like to um edit things. So let's see if we can find Charlie here. So you know what I'm talking about. Oh, no, I have it. I have a better idea. So this is the post that I saw from this guy. Uh, he's amazing. I mean, he's a beast when it comes to creating content. He creates lots of posts. I don't know how he has the bandwidth to do all of
Yeah,
that.
I've
But
seen that.
well, he has a team and everything. But I still think it's pretty cool. So this is a baseline of the problem that he used. But you see the results, right?
That's cool.
100,000 impressions, 100K impressions on his posts, right? And the idea that I saw him share is that posts often are like too polished, and Matt Gray's type of content, he also creates lots of infographics that just look handwritten infographics, right? So there's a way where you can do this
That's
with.
how he started to stand out. Actually they were handwritten. I'm not sure if he's doing that too much anymore, but he still
Mhm.
posts these, I think, the handwritten ones. And I think he was one of the first to start posting these handwritten ones that are sometimes is, I
Yeah,
mean, he did pretty well with them, but it was sometimes hard to read certain things, but they still did really well. So yeah, it's pretty amazing. And yeah, then I see the Chris Donnelly's ones, which are they're very designed. You need like almost a designer to do some of the detailed ones, right? They are not really. I mean, you can take one of his to AI and say redo this, but then if you're gonna tweak things, it's a little bit complicated because you're gonna get mistakes. So
yeah,
yeah,
definitely. So for everyone who's not familiar with Mike Matt Gray, he's one of like the biggest ones in the industry, right? These are his handwritten infographics. I can see these are handwritten because it's not perfect typography. uh, he
yeah. He,
keeps
he has mentioned that he writes every morning or something, and I think he writes down stuff like that. I do think it's actually
yeah,
he's doing that. So yeah,
he
it's
does
part of his
have
practice. It's pretty useful.
he has some team members to help him, and you can see that because the typography is different in some of them. But um, like I like AI because you can do it in a pretty similar way. So I'm just gonna share with you my process, right? And what things I tweak for my prompt and adapted the one from Charlie. So you see, like once I analyze the post, he likes to do boards of like you are on school and you're right on a board. I like to do more notebooks because I feel they just have more texture. And I feel it aligns more with my brand. So that's the first thing I change. But you see here it says, hey, create a single image of a handwritten infographic, right? It needs to be a notebook page. So this image, let's see what else. Okay, this is key, the texture. The key to make an image look realistic, it's asking the model to make texture, right? Some elements must look created by hand with colored markers, right? The lines should be slightly imperfect and have a texture in the surface. It's just describing that how realistic texture would look like for you. So it can make things not look that perfect. Then you can also decide what type of font you would like. And here I specify the colors of my brand. So I can say, hey, you can use different colors, but the main one should be my mint blue. And the mint blue is the color of my brand. So I also specify that. Also, something pretty important is to specify the layout, because if not, the image can be square, or it can be horizontal, or it can be vertical, but not from the size of the platform that you're going to choose. So we say, okay, this is the general layout. Your structure should be from these pixels, right? This is, again, pretty important. And then what else? I also specify the footer of the image. So Charlie has something here at the end of his posts, and he says, hey, if you find this useful, follow for more. But in my prompt, I know you can also modify the type of footer that you would like um, for your infographic. And then what I do is, after the established prompt that you have, that we can paste in the notes if you would like, if someone would like to try it, I now start pasting, okay, so here's the title of my infographic and here's the information. right? This is a part of the specific information that would change just from each infographic. And the rest, I always keep it the same for every infographic that I create. I just change the text that will go inside, and probably use some. If I have some idea of the layout that I want to use, I also specify it. So in this case, hey, I want this infographic that you divide it into 5 squares. I want 3 at the top, 2 at the bottom, and then just include an image that represents the concept. But overall, that's it. Some information about the texture that you want to use, the fonts, the colors, the layout of the size, your footer, and from there you can use this template for every.
For LinkedIn, I've seen like now, like I checked some because I wanted to. I created like some stuff around this for templates for us. We're gonna start doing more on LinkedIn and different platforms. But I think 1200 times 1500 is the best on LinkedIn now, right? Or that's what I saw like Chris
Yeah.
Donnelly and some people do.
This is a size for LinkedIn. If you want to check it out, this is a size we use for LinkedIn. It's 4x5. That's a perfect size because it uses more space on your screen.
Okay. Yeah. Yeah,
But
4x5. Yeah, but I think this is the Instagram, right? This is the Instagram format. I think like LinkedIn has also 1200. They have different formats, but I think they have increased it a little bit. So 1200 times 1500 is what I saw recently when I downloaded an image. And I don't know, it's 4x5 anyway. So it's the same.
exactly, it's 4x5. And for that prompt that you saw is this infographic that I made. So,
Awesome.
that's what I told you, like, keep the layout, 3 squares at the top, 2 at the bottom. This is the footer that I ask for, and this is a mint blue that I put in my code.
This is cool. So what do you use like with ChatGPT? You said you had like the combination of Nano Banana Pro
Exactly.
and the
Yeah.
ChatGPT.
So if you see, this is the image from Nano Banana, this one. But I feel it doesn't have that realistic texture. For this one too, these are the original images from Nano Banana, right? And I start with Nano Banana first because it's the best writing, and it has really small or almost like no mistakes when it's writing. So that's why I like to start with Nano Banana, because ChatGPT cannot write that good yet.
Yeah, that I've
But if
noticed. I
you
mean, it can write this. I mean, it can write better than other models, but for sure not on at the level of Nano Banana Pro. So that's
exactly.
for sure.
But then I
Yeah.
noticed that this kind of texture, it's you know, different to what I would like. It still looks really plastified for me. So what I do later is just saying, "Hey chat, I have this infographic. Just help me to make it in more realistic texture."
Okay. Yeah.
Right?
So
And
they can
then
basically copy it. So yeah, I mean, when they have an exact thing that you want, then it can replicate it, and it does a perfect job, basically. Yeah.
exactly, yeah, it does that. So any edits, I do that with ChatGPT, and I just feel it looks better, more for the style, cozy style of my brand. So
Okay.
um,
Yeah, I mean, I think what is the best is to try both, and now you have both options. I mean, you can do it first in Nano Banana because that's the how you get the infographic, and then you can try if you like it. I mean, then you can start there, or you can try how it looks when you combine it with ChatGPT. So yeah,
yeah, exactly. I mean, I think Charlie likes just to keep it in Nano Banana. That's just an extra step that I that I do. If he comes to
yeah,
here, we can ask him about it. But
yeah,
for
yeah.
those who like Nano Banana and like the capabilities, um, there's also this post that I did about what you can do with it. So, for example, you know, there's 3 use cases that I really love. So one is a premium photo shoot. Again, you can give it like a random image of you where show your face really well, and then you say, generate a hyper realistic editorial studio portrait, and just make this person wear a white suit, and I want this with a cream background. So you just ask it, make me wear this outfit. And now you can start changing your outfits with this one, which I think is pretty cool because now you have a professional photo shoot, and all it needs to have is your image. And as you see, it's pretty good at keeping your face features in the same way. you know?
Yeah, no, it's very good. I mean, it's
So
pretty much identical. Yeah.
yeah, this is one use case I like. I also like to create digital mockups. So you see, this is the original image. It has something different on the screen. But then I just created something in Canva, and then I say, oh, I would like for it to show, my product to show on this mockup and like how this person is presenting it. So again, I use the example. Keep the pink image. What it says here? Reimagine the pink and purple digital product mockup. Put the image of the authority positioning playbook instead. And, that's what it starts doing. Like the final use case again would be just recreating brand assets. Some image that you see on LinkedIn that you might want to use for your website or you might want to use for a thumbnail. But now you can recreate it and ask it to change the colors and fit more of the vibe of your brand. Whether you want to use that for carousels in my case, if you also use carousels on Instagram or if you use it for your thumbnails on YouTube. I think that's
Yeah.
pretty cool to have
Yeah,
some
it
in
looks
it.
like you have your templates kind of in Figma here, so you have basically everything prepared. But then you need to add on every slide. Do you have like a process with AI to do this faster or something, like in terms of getting the content that you want on the carousels, things like that?
I don't like the only thing I do is to have a custom project for my carousels. And I say, hey, I have this idea. Help me divide it into like the slides that I should use. Because I realized that the best when it comes to carousels, carousel makers often only use text. And if they put an image, they would put up like a pretty image, not a showcase image, which is different. So a showcase image would be, uh, for example, to share your screen and actually show how that looks. You see, like on this example that I'm giving to you, I'm not only writing the prompt, I'm actually putting the screenshot of how it looks like on real life. Right? Or for example, when I'm breaking down this tool, I'm going and taking screenshots and how it actually looks like. So those are my posts that perform the best, and carousel makers can only put a pretty image,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, they
So
cannot do this, right? The best is to have a template with your style and then basically maybe use a project to get kind of the ideas for the text that goes on each slide. And then, of course, you have to then take the screenshots and the personalized things. If you have, yeah, if you have the top AI tools or something, I mean, it would perform better probably if you have a screenshot and it looks like you actually put some effort into this rather than just like,
exactly.
something automatic. Yeah.
Yeah. And
So.
you can, Matt Gray uses the style of only text, but for what I know, he has more, formats that can perform better, or often he also explains visually how that concept looks like. So you can try text only, of course, but at least from my perspective in analyzing my data, I've noticed that that format doesn't perform that well. So while a carousel like these uh, can have easily like 10,000 views, and that's standard normal views, that's not even a top performer, can have like 10,000 views. Text only sometimes have 2,500, 5,000 max on terms of views,
Yeah, I
and not
think it's good to sometimes, yeah, if they're blind on like the super big creators, but they can do this because they have a following, right? They probably still get reach, but when you're starting out, you need to kind of look at maybe people a few steps ahead of you and then see, okay, what's working for them right now to grow. And if they are not maybe using too much the text carousel, maybe you should consider using what they are doing with more imagery and stuff like that. So yeah, if that works better.
yeah, definitely, definitely. And final thing I do want to say on that one, and it's actually like the last step of content, it's to analyze, the content. And you mentioned it because it's super
Yeah, it's step
important.
three, right? I mean, you had basically ideation, and we cover with the content, and then analyze. That's the last one, right?
Yeah, ideation, creating the content using custom GPTs or projects, and having templates for your workflow. And then number two, it's actually analyzing, but that's going to be different for everyone, because if you're in YouTube, you have YouTube Studio, which offers you many analytics and are pretty good. For LinkedIn, we don't have that many analytics. I would say like we have to, you know chase more of that. So what we do there is to download our analytics from LinkedIn and then upload them into ChatGPT, and then we can ask, hey, what are my best formats that give me more engagement? Because I think LinkedIn only gives you the ones that give you more reach. But now you can ask, what are the ones that people click more on the call to action? What are the ones that give me more, leads depending on how many people click that CTA? So that's something, but something more applicable, I think it can be for everybody. It's to not only analyze your data, but also how people in the industry feel. So what I mean by that is that often you feel, oh, like no one is going to notice I'm creating content with AI, right? But then there are patterns that more people are realizing that it's too AI-ish and that you kind of copy pasted it from ChatGPT. And once they notice that, they stop following you, they stop liking you because they just feel that you're, chasing AI. So there's also a balance. And there are three things that if you're listening right now, you should, pause and take notes, because if you do these three things, people are going to feel you're like too robotic. So the first one would be using perfect parallel structures. So what I mean by that is that if you say, it's not about X, it's about Y. And you can go to LinkedIn or any other content on, Instagram, X, you're not gonna go far without seeing one of these parallels. So it's not about being consistent. It's about being strategic, right? This is a perfect parallel. And one time it's okay, but when you use it a lot, AI likes to do it quite often. So if you create a post with AI, you're gonna see it's gonna bring to you a lot of parallels. So in my prompt in the backend, I also like to say, hey, do not do this or do not do that. And when it does that, I just delete it and say something else. So that's number one. Then number two, it's to, of course, generic statements with no examples. So for example, communication is key to success, whatever. But if you can actually put a story there of why communication is key, maybe you have a hard time at your last job and just because you forgot to say something, right? Or you have a story, that's of course going to hit harder and make it look more human. And then the final one, it's using, I think people describe this as meta commentary. And it's when you say, let me explain, or here's the thing, right? Or here's the secret, here's the catch. I mean, you just have to say the thing. AI likes to do this a lot. Let me explain, here's the thing. And then it starts, putting some bullet points. So of course, when you overuse these three things, people are going to feel like you're AI. And that's why it's so important to not only check your data, but also I think like analyzing the feelings of the industry, because you can be, burning yourself and your reputation and you don't even know if you don't, see what other people perceive as too AI-ish, or you're crossing the limits of making it too robotic for your liking.
Yeah, I can see that happening on LinkedIn for sure, because there's so many people, I mean, aware of the AI industry. I mean, there are a lot of people creating content about AI, obviously. But like if you overuse like M dashes and all this kind of stuff, I mean, then it looks a little bit too much ChatGPT. I mean, they likes to do certain things. And you can also have some, if you create these projects and GPTs, you can have some banned words.
Mhm.
So it doesn't use it. It will still use it from time to time. Sometimes it goes back to bad habits, but at least it will avoid it most of the time. So definitely add some stuff like that. I have this also in my instructions and everywhere, So I try to basically get it to not do it. I have it also in Notion where I have like some agents and stuff like that. So I do that myself. So
Yeah,
yeah.
you can put it into the memory and say, "Hey, chat, remember these." If you're using ChatGPT, you say, "Remember these." After you say "remember these," it's gonna whatever you say, it's gonna put it into its memory. But just so you know, I think it has pretty limited like memory. Kind of saves only one paragraph or one sentence. So I would say, "Remember these." It's gonna be rule number one: don't use perfect parallel structures like yada yada yada. And then you pause and then you say again, hey, remember these, and you say the other rule that you don't want it to use. And then, I like to reinforce this and put it into the memory. and then also put it into my into my prompts to reduce the chances of it saying that, because it's still going to try to say that. And if at the end it uses that, I don't think there's something to be math for. At the end, they are just models and they work with probability. What has more chances to happen are those generic things. So it's not its fault to say, something. But if you are noticing that, I mean, it's much faster that you just go, and instead of feeling frustrated, you just make those edits yourself. But now you know what you have to edit, which I think it's, pretty valuable to
Yeah. I
go and use
think
it.
one thing we can do before we kind of wrap this one up, if you want to show people some of your favorite LinkedIn posts and why maybe they performed well, or break it down a little bit, I think that could be also useful, because we talked about the content part, but we can show a little bit more on the platform where you are the most active, which is LinkedIn, obviously. So yeah, you can show whatever you want, like lead magnet post, carousel post, whatever, why it worked, and maybe that could be useful for everyone watching here.
Of course. So, I'll say like this is pretty abstract what you mean with it worked, because you can have different metrics for success, right? You can have views as a metrics for success, or in my case, I use more leads as a metric for success, because that's what I live for, right? Like that's what I help.
Yeah,
Like,
I mean, in
so
terms of like the breakdown of the post more, I mean, it's pretty obvious. I mean, if you are getting them to your websites, or I mean, you want clients or whatever it is, I mean, you can maybe explain what was the purpose of the post. If you have usually a goal for each post, and then that's kind of dictates what is a success when you post it, right?
of course,
So
of
yeah,
course. So I was saying that to start with, because of course you have to define what's going to be success for you. Having views, it's okay. And I really like that. And then now that you know how to create videos, you have to understand, okay, what is this format? Is this the same, the one that's going to help me have more leads? So if I have to show you on this one, let me share my screen here for you. So this is for, again, a workshop that I'm creating. So I have these screenshots to show you. But if I show you this example, I don't know if it's going to be visible on, because
yeah, you
it's
can
pretty
zoom in a
small.
little bit. Yeah, I see it. Yeah.
This post actually has around 80,000 views, so 79,000 views, 79,000 impressions. But if you see here and we check the analytics, it only has 12 links, 12 clicks to the engagement of the link. And these are analytics we can get on LinkedIn. So then if I analyze it to the other side, this one has only 9,000 views. But in the clicks, it has 100 plus clicks to
Wow.
view. So when
Yeah.
we create content for lead attraction, we think more of this metric more often rather than the views, because then it's like, okay, which one captures more leads to the next process? And our next process, this link can take to a funnel that's going to warm up people and then turn it into leads for you, warm leads that now can book a call with you. So that's why we consider that different case or different scenario. So in this one, it was actually a post. I think I can show you. It's a post that it's funny. It gave me inbound, to be fair. It gave me like one call from a DM that I got. But it was more of a funny post where I put a meme about marketing, right? And this is just like views that next week might not matter that much, right? Because it was a meme and it was funny and it was more general. Versus this one was more specific. It was more niche. So one of the examples of these posts, it's something like this. No, 3 LinkedIn features you're not using, but you should if you want clients. And then I break down the features. Okay, this is feature number 1, feature number 2, feature number 3, call to action.
Yeah.
And that,
What was your call to action in this one?
okay, so think it's just a call to action of, let me see if I have it on my Figma here, because I should. My call to action is after the number 3, after the tip number 3 is, if you want the full LinkedIn client attraction system, I'm sharing the full AI and content system live next week. Link in the description. And this is for an event and a workshop that I have.
Okay, yeah, so it was more specific and people want that thing basically. So that's the natural next step basically from the piece of content you created.
Exactly. And the same with the other one, like how to escape content creation nightmares with 3 AI assistants. So this is assistant number 1. Number 2, number 3, call to action. By the way, if you want to learn how to create AI assistants like this, join the workshop, or here's a guide that you can download. And then to download the guide, they need to put their email. And now we have 4 people in our email list that we can market to.
What's your approach to the links on LinkedIn? Like, do you usually link it directly, like at the end of the post, or do you put it in the comments, or do you want people to leave a comment? What's working? I see some people like Matt Gray, for example, which has a lot of followers. He doesn't bother anymore, so he just usually puts
Yeah.
he usually puts the link, but he's also has 700,000, 800,000 followers, so he doesn't need
Definitely.
to do that as much. But Chris, I've seen Chris do lead magnet posts still, and he got people to comment, but he gets so many comments, so I think he just dropped the link usually in the comments after a while. So yeah, it's just easier for him, I guess.
Definitely. So that's a really good question, but it's important to consider the full context, right? So, for example, Matt Gray just puts the link on his posts, but on LinkedIn. And he's in every social media. So on Instagram, because Instagram has automations for that, LinkedIn doesn't allow you to use automations, but Instagram does. He actually asks people to comment.
Yes, for auto DMs with ManyChat or something like that.
Exactly.
Yes.
So it's not like he doesn't care. It's just that LinkedIn doesn't help him to do automations. And for him, now that he has his volume and he also has a chance to do it on Instagram, it's more valuable for him to spend the time differently rather than having a person that's fully, on every single post, checking who's commenting and who's not, right? Because we cannot use automations on LinkedIn. So that's something to consider there. But also to say that these are not direct, call to action, like lead magnet posts. For lead magnet posts, I actually do the same. I say, hey, I have these 100, viral LinkedIn post templates that are free. Comment X keyword if you want to get it. And now I have 2,000 people commenting.
I want
Right.
this post. This is great. I want it already. No, but this is good. I can tell why this works so well. This is like super hot. You have some of the top creators, and you took some of their content to create templates from. I mean, I think that's pretty awesome.
Yeah, and then you see, like, as I was saying, there are always formats that work or that you start understanding how they work. So, for example, this one, I know it worked because 100, it's like a big number. We can consider that a big number. But I had around like 80 templates. And then I say, I have 80 templates, but 80 templates doesn't sound good. So let me just do others to get to the 100. And then, that's a number that catches attention. That's one of the most powerful things, 100. And then we also have the faces. Because if I said, I have my templates, people might not know who I am, but they know these people that are on the screen. So that's the social proof we use. And when I, again, use the same framework with another client, he went from 99 comments to 4,000 comments. Yeah, perform better than mine. But
yeah. Okay. So do you have some example what the post looked like? Like what is important to put in a post like that? I mean, we see the graphic now. I mean, that's obviously very visual, and you put the faces. I can definitely see why this works well, and it's a great lead magnet basically. So, but what usually is that a direct CTA? So the entire post is to lead people to that It's like a lead magnet post directly, right?
yeah, exactly. That's a direct lead magnet post. And if you see other pattern that it uses, it's numbers and the faces. So these faces, again, some people that are really big on LinkedIn too. And instead of saying, he's laying more down on using numbers. So that's what I would say. In this one, he's saying, after much effort, it's finally here. Right. Okay. But what does much effort means. When he actually puts those numbers in a hook, now it hits different. We started 9,000, LinkedIn creators and 195 sponsored posts.
And his
Oh my
graphic
God,
is not
that's a
as
lot.
good. Yeah, I can tell why, because there are other the graph. I mean, it is. I mean, I'm not gonna say it's so bad, but it's for sure the new one is a lot more visual. It's a lot more exciting to see these faces on the graphic rather than just like I don't know what this is. Almost the
Make
other
it
one, you
more,
know?
yeah,
Yeah,
like number one is don't make it look so salesy, like the first one.
yeah,
That would be like,
exactly.
no one actually cares about your logo. They care about the value. So just make it smaller, right? Or don't even put it there. Then the numbers, if you put effort into it, what does that actually mean? Or using numbers for social proof, anything you can, if you can put numbers, that just makes it much more powerful. And then this, okay, so inside of this leaf magnet, you will find A, B, and C things that are going to help you. And it's perfect for you if you want to stop feeling A, B, and C pain points. Comment a keyword if you would like it. And it's just as simple as that. Inside, you will find it's perfect for you if you want to. Comment X keyword if you want it. Because in that way, you just express the transformation that you're going to get from that one and what they are going to stop feeling. Like, what's the pain point that your lead magnet helps them achieve? So, no, that's a
Very.
pretty simple structure. Uh, of course, it takes us more time to go through that and really, build the lead magnet, understand what it is about to see what keywords we can use specifically. But overall, it's just that structure.
Yeah,
Just to be.
this is good. But well, just one question on this. So, do you think like a new creator on LinkedIn can go viral or semi-viral with this format, even if they don't have too many followers yet? Is that kind of a proven structure, or would you recommend first building up regular content before going with a direct lead magnet post?
Yeah, so I always think that being consistent helps a lot. Um, but I've also seen creators that just have like 10 likes on each post before this one, and then they have one lead magnet that went to 1,000 comments, even if they just got like 10
Maybe
likes
I
on the
should
other.
put my tools. I have a tools guide with like a few hundred tools. Maybe I should put it on LinkedIn. I didn't put it. I mean, but we have a few thousand people download it, but I didn't put it on any platform. It was just via email. So
I mean, if a
yeah,
lot of people already downloaded, that's just proven that it's gonna
yeah. I
work.
mean, it's in Notion. It's fully searchable and stuff. I mean, if you're here, you probably already got it. You know, so you've seen it
Yeah.
pretty often. You know, it's like took me took me hundreds of hours to put together. So it's pretty good. Yeah.
Definitely. And it's valuable if you know how to express that value in the right way. People are just gonna like it so much, right? And that's just the beginning of a funnel. That's how we create things. And you know, as I mentioned, that lead magnet has a structure. So once I know my structure works for me and it worked for a client too really well, that's what I would put into a GPT. So now like the rest of my clients can use that structure. And the same goes for you. Like you create something and you see it works and you put it into a GPT and now you have a repeatable system to win. And that helps you overthink less. And the way that works for me, like that's a full lead magnet post, right? Like that's the main post for the lead magnet. But after that's done, we just save it into our database. My virtual assistant helps me to deliver and actually send it to those people that commented.
So you
Um,
use Notion too.
yeah, like I don't use automation, but I used her help. She's like massively useful on that one. But I saved the link to the lead magnet and now I have my database of lead magnets. And when I post, let's say I post about content creation on Tuesdays and Thursdays. I don't know, on Tuesdays and Fridays, I post about content creation. Now, the same link that I use for that main post, I can use it again every time that I post about content creation. I can use it at the end as a call to action.
Yeah, it's smart to have like very specific lead magnets and then building systems around it so you can have, I mean, as you mentioned, when you have something that works, then you bring it into your
Mhm.
GPTs and stuff like that or projects to train it, and then you can do it a lot faster. But then also, as you mentioned, keeping in mind each platform is very specific. So for LinkedIn, they're pretty wary of AI type content. So definitely don't use content you get out of the box. Definitely edit it and make sure it sounds like you. It's not,
Mhm.
AI slop or something like that in it with different sentence structures and patterns, especially. AI loves to do different patterns and it just, doesn't sound too good. So, yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome. I have really enjoyed this session. It was super actionable, actually. This, I'm sure if people are watching right now, they have gotten some great tips and they are hopefully implementing this. But as we wrap up, do you have any final words or anything you would like to share? Any final words of wisdom or tips?
No, I mean that's it. As long as you can, stick to one thing. Like as I was saying at the beginning, a lot of people are like trying to keep with AI news and the new tools that come out. And you just have to be clear on something that you like. What I'm gonna use: Claude, ChatGPT, projects, custom GPTs. Okay, I'm gonna build my system. I think you just have to be clear on that. And once you build your workflow, I mean, I've been with the same workflow like 2 years now. So even if new tools come out, you just don't have to worry about any of these updates. Just can play with something, and if you like it, you can put into your workflow, but never feeling overwhelmed about all the things that are coming because, yeah, they are a lot.
Yeah, I like that your workflow is pretty simple, but it's like about staying consistent and, doing this, what works and doubling down on
Yeah.
that. Essentially.
And I
So,
will say, like, the most important thing is not the tool. Like, many people think it's the tool they choose, but it's actually what you do in the back end. So, like my GPT, yeah, it's pretty simple, but I have a template that I've tried and it works. Like the work that I did was not in the GPT, was not in the tool, it was on my system to know what works. So yeah, my emails now convert really well, but it was the work of analyzing the click-through rate, like the open rate, what my best subject lines are, and then when we put those patterns into the GPT, no wonder why it works so well. It's simple, yes, but the work that you do is in the back end on analyzing these examples. And that's the main thing you should always remember.
yeah. That's great advice. And what the best place to connect with you is on LinkedIn or any other place you have newsletter, I think you have now and stuff like that, right?
Yeah, no, but I mean, I would say like the main place where you can contact me and say hi, it's always LinkedIn. So if you're hearing this and you just like to say hi or ask any other questions that you got from these that we didn't solve, you can always go to LinkedIn and say hi. Yeah.
Awesome. And I think you absolutely delivered from the promise from the earlier when I asked you what people can get out of this session. So I think just implement this if you're watching, like get out there and try some of the strategies we shared. Do leave a comment if you're inside the community and AI Creator OS, then let us know your biggest takeaways. And
Yeah.
I'll talk to you guys in the next one. Ciao for now. Bye.